Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Larry Kirk, here with us. Anybody that's familiar with podcasts know we've spoken a lot about the Miller House here in Owensboro and how it is the premier blues venue we have here locally, and we are very, very glad to have him with us today, Larry.
Hey, it's great for you guys being here. I don't know how much of a very special guest I am. I'm just a guy with a place that likes the blues, and we're so fortunate to have some of the people that come in that do. Of course, a lot of them are out of the Memphis area. I mean, let's face it, you go to Memphis, you find a lot of people play the blues there. But we've been, it's our 8th year now. And when we first started this, I've never dreamed of us doing this kind of music. Just as a restaurant first. And then we got these things behind us and turned into a Bourbon Bar. And when we first started having people come in and play, it was tough. There's not a lot of live music in Owensboro. It hadn't been for a while. And so sometimes it'd be me and Aaron King, my son-in-law, maybe a couple other people. And we had some great music, so we enjoyed it, but you kind of need somebody else in here. So we just decided, look, we can either not do it or stick with it. So we just kept doing it, and eventually you build up people knowing that you're having it, and it's happening, and we've been fortunate to get some great people in here, and we rarely do a cover. I think we've only done a cover once or twice. So you get to hear some really good musicians for free. That's a good price. So so it's taken a while to build it up, but we just want to keep building it, and just get everybody in here we can get in here. Amen. And then we just started, maybe 3-4 weeks ago on Thursday night doing this jam outside. And hopefully the weather's going to hold up for that, and certainly we had, what would you say, you've been here both nights, I think.
Yes.
And had we love to have more people. Bring your guitar, bring your voice, come out and play whatever you play. But it was great, so we're just trying to do what we can to. And it's not just blues. I like everything, but I gotta admit, blues has got special. Blues has got special too.
Well, let's talk about you and how being a blues lover. Have you always been drawn to the blues?
You know what? When I was a little kid, I try to think. Everybody says, "Oh, so Jimi Hendrix," and I liked him. When I was a kid, of all people, my mom, she sat at the piano every day. She was a classic old housewife that ironed everything in her house and polished wood floors on her hands and knees and played the piano when she wasn't doing housework or getting after us. And she played hymn. I could tell you the number of every hymn in the Baptist hymn book because she just go through all of them. But she put a twist to every one of them when she played. And it's just a little bit bluesy and just a little bit different. And her voice had kind of a twang to it where and she'd play and sing all day. And myself and my brothers, we all wanted to play baseball, be outside playing. That's when kids actually played outside all day. And but she kind of convinced us all to first his piano lessons. I know there's a picture of one of my brothers. He's sitting at the piano. You can tell he's mad. He's holding his football like I'm sitting here. I want to be outside. But she, it was kind of the twist she put to it. And then she was, we went to a church in town, but she was still a member of a little church out in the country. And when you go out there, it was like not only stepping back in time, but musically, a lot of it was old blues influence. It wasn't regular old Baptist hymn stuff. And so that's really kind of where it started. As I got older, Hendrix, I just, but as far as where it got started, it's definitely with my mom and listen to her play. And
so you play a little piano thing?
Yeah, I did. I played it. I went through the thing of my piano teacher's still alive. She's like 92, and she's amazing. And she was my good piano. She was the good piano teacher that didn't hit me with rulers. I did have a couple of those. And when old Baptist kids getting beat by Catholic nuns all the time on the knuckles, it gets old. But I'd make the mistake of telling the truth. She said, "You practice?" I went, "Yeah, baseball and man knuckles." But that's my first thing was piano. I still love it. Can't walk by a piano. If I walk in a music store, I look for the lights on any of the keyboards. I always leave a couple on.
Yeah.
Love the piano. And all my kids have, and my mom always told us, she said, "Look, you're going to take the piano because when you get older, it's the one thing you're going to always be able to play, and you won't be able to walk by one." Well, she was right. So before I got into guitars and stuff like that.
So you play a little guitar?
Yeah, I played a lot. In fact, when my wife and I first got married, we had an apartment about the size of this room right here. And in the bedroom, the living room wasn't big. I had Marshall stock. There's a bed and Marshall stock. That's about it. And she spent most of her nights in the bed with pillows around her head like this. So, and I had this little Fender Mustang. I'd kill to have it back. One of those powder blue babies, and I'd just kill to have that back.
So did you play here locally?
Up until I played baseball a lot, and so between the two, of course, if you want to know how to learn a song, go talk to Bobby Blackford.
Oh yes.
Well, Bobby was the king. I mean, it's
Bobby
I
Blackford,
can't say enough about Bobby Blackford.
God bless him. We lost him here a year or so ago, and when I was a kid, he's a fixture at the Owensboro Music Center here, and just a great guy. You couldn't find a better musician or a better guy.
Yeah, just all the way around, and so I was fortunate enough to kind of go through those years when I was young, and as I was getting into guitars, and I think it's 1972, I bought a brand new Gibson Hummingbird. It was just so pretty. It wasn't about the guitar as much as it's just so pretty. It's $460 now. I wish I had that. But I love I have a broadcaster I love. I've got a Gibson now that I love, and I had, unfortunately, the more I played in tournaments and played in racquetball tournaments, it started affecting my hands. I got to where I was starting to have nerve damage, and I wouldn't quick like I wanted. I couldn't do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm really just now getting back on the keys where I'm getting more comfortable with them. So I'm going to have an outbreak here on the keyboards pretty soon.
All right.
But my brothers played. My father, the cool thing about him was I never saw him play a music instrument at all. I'd seen him, but what he loved to listen to was Diana Ross and Supremes, Eat Spots. Some of the coolest music. He was a general manager of General Electric. So everything in our house, we about had General Electric underwear. Everything in our house had General Electric on it. And I'll never forget, he came home. Those little stereos, the speakers pop out on the side, and the front would pop open, look like a little suitcase.
Yeah.
And we were amazed. We thought that was from like space. And it dropped those 33s or 45s, so you put the little sleeve on for the 45s. And we would just sit there and sit there and listen to it all day and night. Yeah.
Now let's touch on obviously you've had a lot of great artists come through here.
Yeah.
And let's talk just a little bit about some of them and some of your favorites. And
I was thinking about someday. Of course, obviously, Samantha was big. Like the last time she was here.
Well, just for people that don't know who we're talking about.
Samantha Fish. And Samantha, if you look at any list of female guitarists, she's going to be on it somewhere. She's and her voice has really matured. There was a difference just in the couple of years she's been here, but she's hit all the hot spots. She does all the European tours. She does the cruises. She is a working machine, and she's done so well. The last time she was here, she had the #1 CD in the world. Period. Not fake numbers, because you can play with those numbers depending on where it is. But that's special, and she worked hard for it, and there's more things coming for her. That's so. but when you talk about her and Popovich and some of the, well, she's part of the young guns. You know, Bonnie Raitt, you know, all those women were amazing. Nancy Wilson, all them.
Yeah.
And so Samantha is kind of one of the lead young guns playing. And there are a bunch of, I mean, it's wide open for women, you know, that are that good. But to have her here was big because what it did is, and I didn't realize how much that, of course, everything's online and on there, you know, how much people will look at you to see who's been there. You know, the minute her name popped up, all of a sudden people were saying, hey, you know, Fish played there. Well, so it was huge for us to open up, because like you said, Owensboro, Kentucky is not exactly the center of blues in the United States. So, after that happened, you know, I started going to Memphis more, especially during the IBC in January. And let's face it, if a guy wins there, he'd probably be somebody good to get. So we've had 7 of them, of the winners, and plus the people you run into down there, that makes a big difference. But you know, Jerikas Coleman, I don't know if you've ever seen Jerikas play. You know, he's the guy that plays, he's from Clinton, Mississippi, I think. You know, all of a sudden he pops up and he's hitting all these festivals and just rolling, and he was something else, man. He he had a good time, and but he could play. Mr. Sip, of course, he's show.
Yeah,
I mean, he can play his guitar, no question. But he's, you know, he puts on the show, and you know, it was great having him here. You know, when the girls first started, the Sad Sad Blues Jam, they were young girls. It was, you didn't see 3 young girls playing in a blues band. And then, come on, they're not even old enough to be blues, but yet they and I think they became. We kind of watched them get better as musicians. Now, Samantha or Sammy, she married Nick Harless, which Nicky's a young gun from Texas. A lot of Stevie, he was from Austin, Texas. Straight Stevie Ray Vaughan. Now I will say this: he can get some stuff in his amp without pedals. He does it the old way. He's never seen a knob on a. His amps have no knobs on them. They don't come with knobs. You don't care where he's playing, no knobs on it. But he can make those things talk. You know, he'll put enough power that he'll bounce his guitar across the floor, across your back, across the table. He's gonna get something out of it. So it's entertaining. Well, she married him. She was a good bass player. Now she's really applied herself. She's a heck of a bass player. She's getting better all the time. And her sister, you know, did the girls' guitar tour. She was just born smiling. I mean, she's a showman. She knew when to shake her hair and when to shake everything else, and she just now, as she's gotten older, applied herself more and more to actually the music, and that's what she's doing in college. She's playing all day, playing every day. You know, her voice is getting better. So, you know, they kind of watch them grow. I mean, they always put on a good show. They always drew a lot of people. Even recent, well, Noah's been great to have come in. Joey just classic. Oh, come on, he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he's.
It's Joey Gilmore.
Joey Gilmore. I'm sorry.
In case you don't know who we're talking about. It's
Joey's
Gilmore.
from Florida.
And if you're not familiar with him, look him up. Like he said, he's in the Hall of Fame, and he's there for a reason.
And so it kind of ties you back to the old blues. I love when Joey comes in because he's a classic old blues guy. I mean, he's a guy that learned playing in a barber shop with about 2 strings on a 6-string guitar. You know, he's the real deal. The great thing is that everybody that's been here has been so. Vanessa Collier was amazing on that sax, and her band. One of the kids from Italy he's blind, and he plays. He plays with this part of his finger. You just have to watch him. It's something, but he's a great player. It's just that they're all so similar in their passion for it, and that they come here to do the deal. They don't come here to see how much they drink or, you know. So I think that's where we've been really fortunate. It's not only are they good, and almost every one of them, to me, I have a memory of every one of them playing. It's just that it's hard to say one was better than the other, but they all did such a great job and put on great shows, And I wish more people would come. You know, no matter how good you are. Well, and Bosco, I tell you what, Owensboro is so fortunate in our area. We got two great guitarists. There's no question Bosco is an amazing guitarist. I mean, Bosco's great. And I think Tommy, they're different type of guitarists. You know, they both played a long time. I think Bosco plays about 25 hours a day. I don't know when he's not practicing. But really, I mean, it's hard to find anybody better than those two. And there's a lot of good guitarists, so we're fortunate. I think sometimes people overlook how good some local people really are. You know, and I get accused of that because I have so many bands out of town. And I'm that's why been doing this jam. I'm wanting to have more people, you know, local come in that play. And of course, we don't have a ton of blues people that play here, but we, you know,
well, Tommy and them, they're local. They play here fairly often.
Yeah. And you know, they've been Larry lived the life, boy. And then of course John's played with everybody. You know, the bass player.
Yeah.
I couldn't even name all the places he's played and all the bands he's been in. It's been a neat ride. It's something that I never really expected, because I mean, there's a lot of nights. Like I said, I sat on that end stool, and the acoustics in here are much different than you think they would be. I always said it almost works like a Bose tube. It rolls around and comes back. You don't need a monitor.
Yeah.
You think all the hard surfaces that's just gonna, but like the Ghost Town Blues Band came in. There's 6 of them. I mean, they had a full organ, you know, and everything else, and they thought, oh man, this sound's gonna just pop everywhere, and it doesn't. It's this brick is soft on top, hard underneath. It's crazy how it works, but you really, you know, get a decent sound down here, and even if you're squeezing in here like they were, so everything about it turned out from a music side.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something I always. It was icing on the cake for me. Let's just put it that way. You know, this bourbon's great. It's I love it down here. But another thing, he put 9-foot ceilings in his basement. The man that built this home was a billiards player, so you don't see 9-foot ceilings in many 110-year-old houses, and that just kind of all played in. And you know, I wish it was bigger, but then maybe I don't. I mean, everybody that comes in here and plays, and they know how small it is. And you know, it's just like Samantha said, I started in places like that, smaller than this, and you just make it work. And sometimes it's kind of cool to have people right there when you're playing, you know. And or if you go wireless, of course, when the girls went wireless, it's funny. You see them go to a table and they be playing, and the boyfriend's like, I can't look. And his girlfriend's like, you better not look. And the girls are going to say, watch this. They go and take just for the heck and just watch him sweat. I told her mom one time, I said, you know what everybody's looking at, right? She said, all right. She's shaking her head. But anyway, you know, they've all been good. I've been really happy with everybody because they come in, they do what we ask them to do, which is just play, you know, and I think that they've turned themselves on to a lot of people that never would have known their name, and they helped us by spreading the word. Well, I'll tell you what, we honestly try to treat people as good as we possibly can, because I want them to come by. Yeah, I want them to know if we come here, we're going to be treated well. Because you know as well as I do, when you're on the road, that don't always happen.
Yes.
You don't always.
Yes.
It doesn't always happen. So it's hard to pick out one. We've been fortunate. I like all of them. I really do. So that's just my place, and I like them.
Larry, well, let's touch a little bit on that. So, obviously, you opened the Miller House 8 years ago. So, had you been in the restaurant business before?
Oh, no. My middle daughter, she had already graduated from college, and all my daughters played soccer everywhere. And she just decided, she said, I want to cook. Great, you know. And then she was overseas, and she came back. And I don't know, I was retiring about the same time. I'd been with Del South for years, in AT&T and all that. and I don't know what piece of lunacy caused me to buy this place, because when we walked in here, like where we all are, we'd be in about 4 foot of water, and you could look up to the top and see pigeons flying in the attic. It took us 3 years to get it back, and so that was she had graduated from culinary school, and basically she was captain of the ship. I mean, she walked through it, we went through it, and she decided kind of the path and flow of the restaurant, and so I didn't think about it at the time, really. We just my whole family, all 3 daughters came by, which was great to have everybody here, and our family just a lot on what things that she said. Now I think back of it, that's pretty scary. Like, you can't tell you what to do. But it, she knew what she was doing, and it worked out, and it's one of those things, sometimes you just gotta work hard. We did a lot of things, I'm sure not right, and not that would follow a company book, like if you had a chain, but the only thing we need to do is just keep making changes and trying to make things better, and you just gotta work. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
One of those changes obviously was the Bourbon Bar. So
right.
How long is that?
When we first opened, I'd say we had maybe 20 or 30 bourbons, and we didn't have any of these shelves. We didn't have any shelves. We had our beer cabinets. We didn't have the space in here to put beer on tap because we didn't have the room for the kegs or for the coolers. We used every square inch of this place, and so we had about maybe 40 beers. It was a decent selection, but we started with, I think, about 30 or 40 bourbons, and then it just kind of hit us, like, this is Kentucky. I mean, this is what our state, when 93% of all stuff in the world, you should have more than that. So we went up to about 100, and then the next thing you know, so, well, why don't we stop at 100? So now we're over 500. But it really, honestly, what really started was, look, this is Kentucky, and we should. I mean, when this bourbon industry brings so much money to the state, and the tourism, and of course it's just rocking now, and a lot of people think it's going to go for a long time, and so why we had this many, I don't know. We just kept going.
Well, that leads me to your favorite. Do you have a personal favorite?
Well, we've got over 500, so I've probably got more than one. I've tasted every one of them. It's kind of like wine. Every one of them are different. I will say this for sure: the ones that come from, bourbon can be from continental United States. It doesn't have to be just from Kentucky. I've never tasted bourbon not from Kentucky. No offense, but it's just better. Our water is one of the reasons we have such good luck with the bourbon here. But yeah, you don't have to drink a $200 bourbon or a $100 bourbon, but there's great bourbons that are $29. One of them I like, they actually quit making it. It was $19. But for me, I loved it the way it tastes. So am I gonna throw any names? No.
All right.
But yeah, it's like wine. There's $8 bottles of wine you might love. So it's really become that big, and to be honest with you, you'd be hard pressed, and we've talked about this before, to think of a state that 93% of all that product in the world comes from that state. I don't know what else it would be. I can't think of a state it would be. So Kentucky's fortunate to have that, and if you walk in a bar or restaurant in Kentucky and you see 2 bourbons, it's shame on them. I mean, this, you know what I mean?
Sure.
This is our state, and this is at 1792s. That's when we became a Commonwealth. It's not just something they made up. So there's a lot of history to it, and I mean, obviously it's brought us a lot of attention, and because this is one of the largest collections in the world. I mean, by far in Kentucky, which, yeah, you can always go get more. I mean, I don't think it's the numbers as much as we try to get a selection that everybody will like. It's hard to get, but it's been good to us. I mean, honestly, a lot of people come just to see it, So that was a good decision. We made balance, but that one worked out.
So obviously, of course, you know, people think Kentucky, they think bourbons, and they don't necessarily think Kentucky and blues.
No, they don't.
And obviously, what you're doing here is kind of helping us kind of bring that around. You know, where blues is kind of more associated with us here locally.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Is there things Blues Jam is definitely a step in the right direction, but is there anything you see that we could be doing here locally as far as, you know, to build this blues scene that we have? What limited scene that we do have?
You know, what we try to do is, if you look at people that are traveling, you can catch a lot of groups and bands or singles, whatever, that they're not too. If they're going north to south, east to west, they almost have to come close to Kentucky sometime. So maybe, and that's not just a home base. I mean, if you're looking for people that are really pretty top notch, I mean, you don't have to pay $10,000 to get a good band. You know what I mean? There's a lot of really great blues groups that they're on their way some places, and if they can come in and hit for a night, you know, they love it and they'll play. So it's kind of putting in the work, finding out what they're doing and where they're going, working with them.
With that being said, though, you're going to have a lot better luck on a Friday or Saturday night than you would if they were coming through on a Wednesday.
Well, yeah, and you know, to be honest with you, I don't know that I mean, I'd love to say, hey, we've had blues here playing every night. But you also, I mean, you got to be able to afford to do that. And although we don't charge cover, still, you have to pay the bands, and I expect the bands. I'm not. I mean, they need to get enough money that's worth their while. Plus, depending on if they're coming through, if they need a room or whatever. So, it's just not economical to try to have. And So Owensboro's not the point. We're not big. We're not like Nashville or a city that people go out on Tuesday night and Wednesday night, and that somebody's gonna be coming in every night. We're just, and we're just not. We don't even have the population for that. I wish we did. I tell you, we went over to Evansville, my wife and I, a couple Sundays ago. Larry Grisham, they had a thing for Larry, and Lamasco was packed. It was great. It was Sunday afternoon, like 2:00, something like that. And they had Mopai from Bowling Green. They played, and a couple other bands, I think. But, you know, and what we've noticed looking around is most of the people there were like my wife and I's age, like your kids are probably gone, or, you know, and it's just a Sunday afternoon. But that's also a mentality Evansville has that I don't know.
Well, see,
we had that mentality in Evansville.
And I'm envious of the Evansville scene, and I don't understand why that don't translate to the Owensboro. I don't.
In fact, when we were sitting there, I told my wife, I said, you know, I don't, and no offense to Owensboro, because God, we love Owensboro, love living here, and people have been so good to us. But I said, I just don't think that Owensboro's families are into doing that on a Sunday afternoon. You know, I mean, it's a beautiful day. It's fun. It was. And people weren't. It's not like they're in there just drinking it up. They're just there having a good time. And but don't you agree? Owensboro just not. There is a difference.
Yes, there is. And
some will say maybe it's a German influence.
Maybe
and that's
so.
not my theory. I'm just saying. But it was funny when we were sitting there because we were. I mean, they were having a great time, but you just don't. I don't. Now, maybe on Sunday afternoon, a football game, big football game, you know, like B-Dubs or on 54,
Maloney.
Yeah, you know, drawing people for the game and stuff. But just coming in and sitting, listening to music. Or something in Lexington, Louisville, yeah. But I wish we were at that point. In fact, even for the bluegrass crowd, I mean, you know, we talk about we're a bluegrass town, but we have people coming here a lot saying, on Tuesday night, where can I hear some bluegrass? So, you know, and I know Chris and them have it. They have concerts sometimes during the week at their place, and I'd love it to be like Nashville, where you'd see the bluegrass, 3 or 4 guys on a corner playing, or we're just not. I mean, we're getting more people thinking like that. It just said because you know there's bands playing down the park. You know, the Lure had people outside. I mean, and all it's happening more. But it's just slow to develop.
Yeah.
You just got to stick.
You know, and that's what a lot of people, you know, talk to about the music scene and just playing music. And, you know, and I tell people all the time, you know, everybody thinks it's a sprint, but it's not. It's,
No,
you know,
it's not at all.
You know,
Yeah,
it's marathon, and you just got to stay in there and just stay after it. You know.
Yeah.
Larry, let's just talk a little bit about the hours of operation here and what all exactly people expect here at the Miller House.
Well, we're closed on Mondays. On Sunday, we just do a 10 to 2 brunch. But the rest of the week, we open for lunch from 11 to 2, close down, come back, and dinner's 5 to 9 during the week. And on Saturday and Sunday, the kitchen's open 5 to 10, so you eat up to 10 o'clock. Now, down here, we just stay till the last person leaves. I mean, if it's 1 o'clock, it's fine. If it's whatever it is. Band nights, bands normally start anywhere between 8 and 9, usually end up around 12.
How can people find out about the bands that might be coming through?
We have our iPhone app, which has an events page on it. You just download the Miller House. You go to your app store, just the Miller House Restaurant, download it. It has all our menus. We change our menu about every 3 months. We have our own garden, so as things change in the gardens, Casey changes the menu. But any events happening, you know, any bands coming in. Then we also, of course, on our webpage, which is the MillerHouseRestaurant.com. Then also on our Facebook. So there's 3 different places that you can look, you know, as far as entertainment coming in. You know, we're a little bit different in that we're a restaurant that just happens to have a bar and music all the same. And sometimes it's kind of tough because, you know, we don't have a designated, this is the band area, this is the bar area, and this is restaurant. And so as far as reservations, we do take reservations on Friday and Saturday nights. And if the band's inside, depending on the weather, we've tried to do as much outside this year as we can. And we've been so fortunate, we've only had to move in once. Now, I don't know what else to rub or throw, or I don't know how much longer that's going to happen. But when we do have music inside, it's tight. You need to get your reservations if you want a table. And I will say this, that every band that plays here, with the exception of one who doesn't have any knobs on his amp, they make sure they don't blow you out. You know, but yeah, it's just still up enough that, I mean, my head banging days ago, I've been through that one. But so we try to make it couple. You can talk, but still get some good out of music. And so it's worked so far. What we're looking to next is building something outside, more of a permanent stage. You know, something with a cover, because it's one thing to have it, but you gotta have a cover.
Yeah.
And then maybe changing a few things in here. We're thinking about working on the upstairs, the second floor, changing it to more like a room for music also. You know, maybe a different kind of music, but just something a little different. So our thing's always been that we try to change things up for the better. You know, listen to the people that come. Of course, everybody says, I wish you'd have more people. Well, it is what it is, man. We can only squeeze so many people in here. And we're just going to keep trying. For this next year, we've already got some people lined up that are some new people that haven't been before. That's one thing, too, is of course, you know, I mean, you know, Tommy, Larry, and them have been here a lot, but we keep trying to find new bands to come in also that I like. No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Kind of new music and catch them on whatever tour they're doing, and so that's working out. That's working out real well. Plus, I love doing it, and that's about it for what we're doing here.
Definitely. Well, Larry, we appreciate you being on.
Oh, great!
Today.
I've enjoyed. I probably talked too much.
No,
I can talk all day about this.
And I personally, I just can't tell you how much I personally just appreciate everything you're doing for blues
Well,
here,
I
and
love
bringing
it.
bringing these artists here to Owensboro, and as a blues lover, shoot, I just can't thank you enough, man. Thank you.
Well, I might step up on those keys one night.
All right, all right,
Thank you.
all right.
Thank you guys for being here.